Hey everyone, and welcome to another video about safety regulations. My name is Garniel, and what you might not know about me is that I'm only a handful of hours into my ARC rating journey, and I'm already ashamed of the ARC rater that I've become.
Damn, good shit, buddy. Good shit. Damn, you're good.
I'll talk more about this later, but for now, I'm an inspector, and the scent of blood in the air has not swayed me from the fact that I'm here for a reason, and it's to find OSHA violations. And let me tell you, gentle people, this seems like a universe that hasn't even heard of regulations in the first place. Like, even before the world went to shit and we all had to start living underground, nobody ever really looked at the safety data sheet binder in the manager's office. In fact, in my headcanon, that's why killer robots are falling from the sky and we all have to live in a hole named after a city in Ohio, because there were no lockout-tagout procedures. Obviously, the world of ARC raiders is incredibly dangerous, but the angle I'm approaching here is looking at the remnants of regulation that survived through the catastrophe that give us a glimpse into the world before everything went to hell. Things like roadblocks and barrels, or places like the launch pad or underground factories that miraculously survived and somehow continue to replenish their loot. These things remain in place and somewhat intact, giving us a peek into the interesting approach to safety regulations this place had before the downfall. It might surprise you to know that ARC Raiders is based in Italy, and interestingly enough, their national safety standards actually go back to the early 1900s, the 1930s in fact, when the INFAIL was founded. That's right, everyone's favorite organization, the Istituto Nazionale Fascista per la Sicurezza contro gli infortuni sul lavoro, or in English, the National Fascist Institute for Insurance Against Workplace Accidents. You heard that right. Thank God they dropped the fascist part eventually, and they ended up with an even better acronym for it, I-NAIL. Goddamn, that's such a good acronym. That has to be one of my favorite acronyms I've ever heard. Even with all of that information, this is where you come in. My favorite part of these videos is getting comments that greatly expand on things I overlooked or maybe didn't look into well enough. I recently got an amazing comment regarding robot regulations that absolutely blew my mind with its wealth of industry jargon and insider knowledge, and I'd love to see more of this. So please, if you think I missed anything and want to let me know, put it down in the comments. I read every single one, so even if you have something completely unrelated that you want to share anyways, it won't be missed, and I thank you either way. Alright, let's get on with the inspection.
Come on in, sit down, take your pants off.
One thing I love in this game is that I'm able to find high-vis safety vests out in the world. I love this. This shows that the employees were geared up and at least given some semblance of safety in the visibility aspect. High-vis vests, totally underrated. Everybody should be wearing them. I think all clothing should be high-vis, personally. That's just me. You know, I'll give it a pass. Okay, not everybody has to wear high-vis safety vests in real life, but when you're in a warehouse, when you're dealing with moving machinery, unloading a truck or anything, man, high-vis vests are great. And I love them, and it's a nice little detail to find a high-vis safety vest in a game like this. Very cool. I think we should probably get some new ones though. Let's get some of those hot pink ones, because these are kind of old and ratted. Next up on the positives here is the launch tower. This is one of the coolest areas I've ever been able to play around in a video game. I love how megalithic it is. It's just gigantic, and the inside of it is largely up to safety standards. There's handrails everywhere, there's guardrails everywhere. The only thing that I really have a problem with here is this total top area here, which is a little bit lacking on the safety measures, because there's these mirrored staircases on either side that are just missing handrails on their left side and right side, respectively. Why? Why are they missing handrails here? Can you imagine falling off of this staircase, breaking your ankle, and then having to get down from here? The emergency services trying to get you down from here, it would be terrible, man. There's so many guardrails and handrails everywhere else in this tower, yet they skipped them here on these staircases. These towers are beautiful. I guess another qualm I have with them is the fact that the only way to get up to them is via zipline. I mean, this is like begging for a fall protection violation. That's like one of the most cited violations in all of OSHA history. And okay, ziplines are great, but there's no reason for fun to override safety, am I right?
What?
All you do all day is go on the zip line.
There's almost no safety signs in this whole universe, and I'll touch on that later, but this is a place that could really benefit from having some signage somewhere around here. So believe it or not, it needs more signs and it needs more handrails, but it's goddamn beautiful, so I'm gonna let it slide a little bit. All right, everybody, that's about all I got for the positives, and now we're moving on to this monstrosity. Look at this forklift. This might actually be one of the dumbest forklifts I've seen in all of gaming. I mean, it's automated, which is cool. You can tell it's like it's an automated forklift. There's no driver's seat. It's just a robot. It's parked terribly. The forks here in front should be totally down to the ground, not angled up. I mean, this is a crazy tripping hazard no matter where it is. There's a bunch of wires just scattered all around it. It's another tripping hazard. And look at the size of these forks. Okay, maybe it's just the scaling, right? Maybe it's throwing it off, but these do not look like they're 48 inches long. That's like the minimum requirement for forks on a forklift. Now, apparently you want really short forks on a forklift if you're lifting really, really dense material. And I could see that as a possibility in this universe. Everywhere that these forklifts are being used, they're not lifting steel. And the actual way that these forklifts are being used is a goddamn atrocity. Check this out. I mean, how does someone even make this mistake? Look, they didn't even lift it up via the pallet. Somebody tilted this on its pallet and lifted it up with the side of these containers. The frustrating thing about this is that because these forks are so short, they're actually lifting this safely, but that's a problem because it's not a safe way to lift a thing. Just get some longer forks for these forklifts. There's a lot of inconsistencies with the safety in these places as well. Some places have guardrails and some place in the same exact facility won't have guardrails. Like this robot here, which is being used to lift these like shipping containers. Look, there's like no protection around this thing whatsoever. There's zero information that says this is a giant moving robot, it could crush you. If you go a little over this way, you'll see that there's a robot that has guardrails around it. Shoot, it even has truncated domes on the floor for the vision impaired to be aware, which is another inconsistency because it's basically the only representation the ADA has in this game. I mean, where are the ramps? I love this, how there's these giant pipes that are behind these little guardrails. This is a great detail. This is the way that pipes should be in a real facility. They should be guarded. You shouldn't just be able to walk up to a pipe and tap on it or anything, or accidentally run into it, or worse, have, a forklift drive into it and crack it. Stuff like this needs guardrails, and I love this, but you don't see this everywhere in this game.
1人目の通過者が出ました。19番、菊尾美右京です。
Leaning pallets. It's the leaning tower of pallets over here in Italy, I guess, because there's just leaning pallets everywhere. I'm so sick of seeing pallets leaning against a wall, especially when there's pallets right next to it that are flat on the ground with stuff on them. This is great. And I also love how this pallet that's on the ground is a certain amount of space away from the wall, because that's how you get rodents, like these guys. It's 2180 and we still have fucking head crabs. There's leaning pallets, and then there's barrels that are just straight on the ground. Any kind of barrel that you see should be lifted onto a pallet and resting on that pallet. It keeps the barrel safe from corrosion. It keeps rodents from getting onto the product. It helps you see leaks better if the barrel is leaking from the bottom. You can manage it better. You can move the barrels around more easily if they're on a pallet using a pallet jack or a forklift. Although I wouldn't recommend using the forklifts in this universe. Now here's one that's not related to the world before the catastrophe, but the world that the ARC Raiders have set up post-catastrophe. I love the fact that the extract locations have a sort of rudimentary lockout-tagout procedure. You press the button to call an extract, and it waits, and it eventually opens up after some really awesome dialogue from one of the NPCs that it kind of goes through all the safety routines of making sure that the area is clear, that the fan has shut off. Not only does it add to the world, but it explains away the waiting for extract, and I love that. But this fan extract in particular is missing something. Do you know what it is? That's right, a confined space warning sign. Yet for some reason I doubt that any of the ARC Raiders have confined space authorization. I do love extracting in this game though, not for the right reasons, mind you. It's too easy to do this and get away with it. I'm such a piece of shit when I play this game. I'm glad to see that the metal detectors are functioning here. This is a grim subject to touch on. One of the highest percentages of gun fatalities is in the workplace, thanks to disgruntled employees, people losing their temper at work. A lot of gun violence occurs in the workplace. It's hard to say, hey, every workplace should have a metal detector and it should be obvious that nobody should bring a weapon to work, but it happens. Here in ARC Raiders, I mean, it looks like they got that problem solved, which is cool. Workplace security is just as important as workplace safety, and there should be some protocols in line to make sure that your workplace is secure. It can start as simply as asking people who they are when you don't recognize them. If somebody seems out of place, bring it up to your manager. Or especially if it's somebody that you know should not be in your workplace, don't try to be a hero, but I am encouraging you overall to be the squeaky wheel. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, and you should be vocal about things that are wrong in your workplace. And if you see somebody smashing the metal detectors at your work, say something about it, because they're probably up to no good. There's fire extinguishers all over the place, and there's 0 signs that say, hey, there's a fire extinguisher here. Look at this floor sign. This thing is effectively saying nothing. It says caution, but what am I supposed to be cautious of? People hardly even look at signs as it is. I've said this so many times before. So what's the point of this if it's not going to do anything? Do you want to see the average interaction that people have with signs? Check this out. Oh, cool. There's some letters on this blockade. I guess this says go in. I'm gonna go in. That's the average interaction that people have with signs in a workplace. I mean, I can't get over how pointless these signs are. This is crazy. Although I have noticed in Stellamontis that there are some pretty good signs that deal with personal safety. Unfortunately, none of them are up to the ANSI Z535 standards, so you gotta disqualify all these. Some of them have too much going on, some of them don't have enough going on, so there's a middle ground here that needs to be met with the arc rater signage. Almost every single staircase is horrendous. Look at how wide the staircase is, and there's not a single middle guardrail. In fact, this thing should have 2 middle guardrails. And look, the staircase is even divided into thirds, and there's lines where there should be extra guardrails. You start tumbling down this staircase and you're not stopping. You're gonna bounce around this thing like a pachinko machine. There's a little bit of back and forth on whether or not middle handrails are actually useful on wide staircases, and I think they are. I think there's an easy case to be made that a lot of slip and falls happen on staircases, and having something that you can reach out to grab onto to stop your fall is an incredibly useful thing. That doesn't go for all the staircases though, right? Look at this staircase. This is a great staircase. I love this thing. These handrails are awesome, the platforming is great, and the spacing on the steps also seems to be perfect. Great job on this staircase. Of course, I guess anything will look good after seeing the amount of leaning pallets and god-awful forklifts there are in this game. Alright, hey, thanks for watching this video. Safety is really important to me, and so are these videos, and it means a lot to me that you're watching them, and if you made it this far, thanks a lot. If you have any other games you'd like me to check out in this fashion, please let me know down in the comments. I love hearing your suggestions. I also have a ton of other OSHA inspection videos that you can check out right after watching this video. YouTube loves it when you do that, so do me a favor and check out the other ones if you like this one. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.